positions. So some some of the words which define the position of an object. So we're going to study those today, and I have also given some examples of sentences. So make sure that when you see new words that are used in the script or during the examples, to take them down and then to understand their meaning and usage. So chok, which means the direction, ne, which means the position. Tembetik means words that shows. So words that shows direction and position. Okay, so so first the direction. Kansa tangbo. Sitting la tashitile. Sitting la tashitile. So for this so for this entire month, we're going to focus on some of these more commonly used words and some of the prepositions. We're going to discuss some of the prepositions also for this entire month. So we will be focusing on structure now. And as for the vocabulary, I'll see to it that I'm able to send new words from time to time in the group so that you can also enrich your vocabulary. And then at the same time, you could join in, and from this class for the entire month, we're going to focus mainly on some of these things like preposition and pronouns. And probably we will also learn a little bit of adjectives, and we'll also do some of the action words. But the action words we're going to focus on the action word when we will start our lesson on either the gender science or the intermediate conversation class. So we will discuss more on the action words. At this moment, every action word would be a word by itself, and then it will be only introduced as a word. So we're not going to talk about different tenses when it comes to action word. So tsinila tshitile. So this particular phrase we are very familiar with. It says greetings, tsinila. So it's a form of greeting that we have already discussed, tashitile. So for the sake of pronunciation, let me repeat this again. Siringla tashitile. Siringla tashitile. Siringla tashitile. So greetings, siringla. Now the second sentence says tashitile. Tashila. So the first person, as we know, is Tashila. So Tashidele, Tashila. Kukamsan. Tashidele. Tashila. Kukamsan. Tashidele, Tashila. Kukamsan. So greetings, Tashila. And then Kukamsan means I wish you a good health, or I pray that you have a good health. So I wish you a good health. Kukamsan. 강사당. So let me repeat this sentence one more time for pronunciation. So, 这是的嘞，这是了，顾看上，这是的嘞，这是了，顾看上，这是的嘞，这是了，顾看上。So the third line is 顾看上. So since Tsiningla has wished me a good health, I wish them a good health. So 顾看上. I too wish you a good health. 강사니까. 这是来了，个体. So, 个体 is the honorific for question. 个体说. So this is one thing that the colloquial system does. Sometimes it changes the sound for a more smoother transition from one sound to another. Sometimes when we pronounce certain word, what happens is that when we pronounce it exactly as the sound, it seems like there is a gap between these words, these particular syllable. So if we say Kurti, it seems that there is a very strong, a sort of not a very smooth transition from ka to ti, Kurtishu. So in colloquial system, sometimes you see that there is an addition of a certain sound. Kurti becomes kanti. There's a kan, kantishu. Instead of ha, it goes to a sound of na, kantishu. Anda. So you see that there is these type of transition that's happening during the colloquial system, and it is always justified by the it's always justified by the statement that they say is that this is because so that the flow of or the transition from one syllable to the other syllable becomes much more smoother. And one particular rule is also with the prefix letter. For example, if we have the word Ado, which is one of the 3 provinces of Tibet. And for a smoother transition, instead of Ado, it becomes Amdo. Because what we did here is we took the prefix from the second syllable and added as a suffix to the first syllable. So instead of Ado, it became Amdo. And all of these rules that you see, for example, one of the question that was asked many days ago in one of our classes, Minduk. Minduk is not a appropriate phrase. In fact, Mindu is something that actually doesn't even exist. It's Mituk. And that is according to the grammatical rule. But what happens is when we say Mituk, the sound is very, the transition is not smooth. It's as if there is like a gap between mi and tuk, Mituk. So to make it more, to make the transition more smoother, Minduk. But is it correct? Definitely not. So the colloquial system justifies this by saying that the actual pronunciation becomes much smoother when we do those transitions, but that is not a valid reason to change the actual structure of the word that to another form of word that doesn't even exist. And then there are many of those regional dialect influences that comes towards these kind of things, where we see that these influences change a great amount of a great amount of words. And then afterwards, when you go to find the spelling of these words, you don't find them, because these are the words that doesn't exist. They were only made because of the convenience of the smooth transition from the first syllable to the second syllable. Some of the transition are more official. For example, the amdo from ado. But some of these transitions are not very official, but still very widely used. For example, panda and mindu. And then in the exile Indian society community of Tibetans, we have this particular particle that's not even a particle, it's kachi. And it actually performs as a relative particle. So these are some of the things that one should actually keep in there to pay attention to. So here we see tashi lala kati shugyuins or tashi lala kati shugyuchiktu. So there's a question for tashila. So you see that in this particular line, we have multiple honorifics. Labgyu, shegyu, shugyu. And let me also take time to later clarify this. This was a question that was asked in the group. It's about the honorifics and humilifics. So let me clarify that too. So you see that there is this transition, even though it's not smooth, but it should be read like this because there is no addition of sound here. If we don't do that, it seems that there are many hidden sounds that may or may not depend on original preferences. Okay, so Tashilala, Kati Shugyuins, Tashilala, Kati Shugyuchi Tu. Tashilala, Kati Shugyuchi Tu. I have a question for Tashila. So we have already talked and we have understood that you is used for a future tense, but the thing is that you is a particle. There's something that we must also, yes, there is a you, which is also a word, which means wealth, but then this you is a particle. So what happens when it's a particle? When it's a particle, it changes meaning according to different context. So in that question, in that sentence, like we had, that is more like I will. But in this context, it says that there is a question that I have a question for you. So it's more like a question for. It's more like for in this context, or it becomes for with the addition of la, the particle here as you see it. So we see that in this in this particular sentence we have multiple honorifics, gati and shu. So if we say chegyuyi, chegyure, that means it's a verb, so it talks about future. Shugyu chiktuk. It becomes more of a conjunction rather than it becomes more of a for conjunction rather than being a helping verb will. But it changes according to the context. So therefore, please pay attention to those. So therefore, every time when we even try to translate things, the particles are the things that are the most hardest, because particles, they tend to have usage which sometimes are very, very interesting. So we will get to those cases later as we advance in our sentence writing skills. So one of the main focus of this month is also to help you with your sentence writing, as well as probably starting to speak a little bit. So it doesn't matter if it's correct or incorrect. If you're able to write it in Tibetan, try to read it in Tibetan. First, just write it down and then read what you have written in the group and send a voice message. And we can always correct it, and then we can always learn from everyone, each and every one. So therefore, so now for the pronunciation, Tashi Lala, Kati Shukyu Chitu. Kansa Tangbo. Lao, Sungrona. Sungrona is please. Sung is the honorific tell. Sungrona means please tell or please ask. So it's an honorific. Lao, Sungrona. Lao, Sungrona. Please ask. Kansa Nipa. It's Nipa. Nyo serve kelkapte. Nyo serve kelkapte. Zambulinki. Cho kansar yut retam. So, in which direction of the earth is Japan? Nihon serve gelkapte zambulinki cho kansar yuretam. So another thing that the particles help with, actually what particles does is that it actually makes the sentence more beautiful when you pronounce it, because there's a correct pause and emphasis when it's needed. So, nyo sewe gelkapte zambulinki cho kansar yuretam. So please pay attention to this. I know that because of the impressions of the other classes, sometimes, and mostly because of the colloquial system, the usage of the particle pe, pasa, pe is quite ingrained, but please make sure that you make the transition towards using this particle as a question. And we're going to study this. Actually, I'll make a point to even include this in the grammar class as a particle. Sorry, in this, it's already there in the grammar, in the conversation class as a particle to introduce. So it's a question related. It's a question related particle when it's written at the end of the statement. So nyo sewe gelkapte zambulinki cho kansar yuretam. So instead of always using la 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 la, which becomes very monotonous, sometimes you change the particle. So kangla yuretam. Instead of that, kansar. So nyo for the pronunciation, nyo serve gelkapte zambulinki cho kansar yuretam. Okay, so zambuling, in which direction on the earth is Japan? Okay, so this is a question. Now we're going with the next slide where we talk about the direction. So the first direction is east, which is called Sharchok, or simply Shar. Shar or Sharchok means east. There is multiple meaning to this particular word, Shar. So you'll see that there are multiple meaning with the same spelling, and most of them are very related to each other. It's not that it's not related. When we have the same spelling and it's not related, it's not like that. But these are with same spelling and are very related to each other most of the times. So 강사 강보 뇨니 점불링기 샤초 내수유. So this is the punctuation where you have to stop, make a pause, and 테니 샤초 수네 베게급 당슈 대인체 테라 뇨 세르키유. 뇨니 점불링기 샤초 뇨니 점불링기 샤초 내수유. 테니 샤초 수네 베게급 당슈 대인체 테라 뇨 세르키유. 뇨니 점불링기 샤초 내수유. 테니 샤초 수네 베게급 당슈 대인체 테라 뇨 세르키유. So this means Japan is in the east. Since it is the eastmost country, it is called Nyon. Nyon is a derived name, an actual derived name. Ni means sun. Ong means coming. So from the place where the sun is coming or rising. So Nyon. So the reason why it's called Nyon, because it's a derived name, it needs to have a reasoning. So the reason is because the sun, because it's the most eastward country, and therefore it's called. And we understand that the sun shines from the east, so therefore it's called the place from where the sun comes. So Nyon. Ong means to come. Ni means sun. So for the pronunciation, I'll repeat it one more time. Nyon ni zambulinki shacho nesuyu. Teni shacho sunebe gekep tangshu deyinse tela nyon serkiyu. Okay, so the second sentence, kansa nipa laso. Tadung nye shartang kwe shacho su serna rungam. Tadung nye shartang kwe shacho su serna rungam. So can we use it as to my east and to your east? So if we can say, for example, in a sentence like, where's the window? The window is east to the window is in the east direction of where I am. Or where is this? Where is the table? The table is north to me. Or where is the restaurant? The restaurant is in east to where you're standing. So you can also use it in that way. So laso tadung nye shartang kwe shachosu sena rungam la rungwar mase teni kapkar neshi tsempe ming tabur pechena. So pecho chena or pechena is the same. Pechena rungo la rungwar mase teni kapkar nishi tsempe ming tapur pechena rungo. So this word tapur means similar to, like this or similar to this. So it means not only is it correct, sometimes the direction can be used to indicate position of an object. So it can also be used in showing the position of something. Okay, so I'll repeat it once more for pronunciation. La rungwar mase teni kapkar la rungwar mase teni kapkar neshi tsempe ming tabur pechena rungo. So the examples. First one, okay, so let me see if I have. Okay, so I've only done for the actual script, but I have not translated it for the sentences. I will do that and send it in the group. So the first one is the sun shines from the peak of the east mountain. So Sharcho. Sharcho means east, river, mountain, tse, peak, the peak of the mountain. River tse is the peak of the mountain. Nima is the sun, and Shar is another word that means to rise. Tashini kyagar Sharchosu lobjon chetutro. Tashi goes to east. Tashi goes to East India, to the Eastern India, to study. Zinche goni mie Sharchosu tu. The door of my class is in the east to mine. It's in the east direction from me, or it's in the east. So the door of my class is in the east. Okay, so Changcho, north. Kangsaniba, Trishila, Kongsacho ki shuni, Kyakar ki sacho kanto yotam. Trishila, Kongsacho ki shuni, Kyakar ki sacho kanto yotam. Trishila, Kongsacho ki shuni, Kyakar ki sacho kanto yotam. So these are some of those signs and symbols. There are a few of these signs, symbols, punctuations that we are going to learn thoroughly in the grammar class. But if we're able to finish most of the syllabus of the basic conversation class, because the main focus of basic conversation class is to enable everyone here to at least speak the most basic form of conversation, like how are you? I'm fine. And then probably ask for direction, like in which direction is this, you know? So to tell the directions, to tell the time, to buy things, to order things. So some of the syllable that is the syllable distribution that I have done may or may not actually be actually the same as some of the colloquial system, because since we are doing it in the basis of the written language, some of my focus are on the particles. So the higher we are in the conversation class, the more particles will be included, and more different variation of the usage of particles will be introduced. I'm very sorry if it sounds more like a grammar class, but we are going to introduce all the particles that are not in the grammatical system that we use during the conversation, which are valid, not the particles that are made up, but the valid particles. So this is something that we will do. So as higher we reach, like for example, we're currently discussing the basic conversation class. At certain moment, we will reach the intermediate conversation class with probably a lot more words. So the words, so after the basic conversation class, we will have a break for the conversation class. After that, so during that break, I will still be active on the group, sending new words, new terms, so that I can build up your vocabulary. Then we can actually go and continue our conversation class, which would be the intermediate. And at the end, when it comes to the advanced, you will be very much, it's a hope that most of you will be very much familiar with most of the terms in Tibetan, including the Dharma terms. So this is something that we aim to accomplish. So if you feel that there are many of these conversations that or may not be considered basic, when I say conversation, most of the conversation related to the normal day-to-day life will be covered during the basic conversation, and hope that you will practice it and then be able to use it. So therefore, we will introduce more particles during the intermediate and the advanced class, and more more concept related to conversation during those classes. Okay, so and probably if we get the time before we're done with the basic class, if we have like 1 or 2 classes, we will introduce some of these symbols along with these punctuations. Okay, so tashila khonsa choki shone gyakar ki sacho kang to yuetam. Tashila, where is the residence of His Holiness the Dalai Lama? In India. So in India. Tashila khonsa choki shone gyakar ki sacho kang to yuetam. Kangsa tangbo la khonsa choki shone ni gyakar changcho shukar dharam salar or dharam sar. Sometimes dharam salar or sometimes dharam sar. So la khonsa choni la khonsa choki shone ni gyakar changcho shukar dharam sar yo. So sugar is maybe new words for some of you, may not be new word for some of you. It's a word that is like it derives from the concept that it was used back in the days to represent like the tent of the if it was used during the war times to call the tent of the general or the king. So the chief or the most powerful person in the war was staying in that tent, and it was called sugar. But in the more contemporary concept, sugar means the place where you have the administration and the most important person of the country. So of the community or the country. So it's called sugar because it's the place where His Holiness resides, who is considered to be the most important person in the Tibetan community, as well as the central Tibetan administration is also located there. And many of the important departments are also there. So therefore it's called sugar. Not exactly like capital, but something that's much more smaller in the area. So therefore sugar. And the idea also, because it's in exile, so sugar and not gyasa. Gyasa would be at a place where it's the own country, it's the capital, but if it's in exile, it's called sugar. So khonsa choki shune ni gyakar changcho sugar dharam sar yue. It is in the north, it is in the northern India at Dharamsala. Kangsa tangbo la khonsa choki shune ni gyakar changcho sugar dharam sar yue. Kangsa nipa laso nye song. Okay, so this is another way of saying she song. Niepa, shepa, hakowa, gotsepa. All of these are the same word for the meaning understand. Laso, nye song, katinche. Laso, nye song, katinche. Okay, thank you very much. I understood. Thank you very much. Laso, nye song, katinche. Okay, so the sentences. Changne ni zambuling ki changne ni zambuling ki chang tu nepe saku tamare. So North Pole is the last end or the end point of the most northern part of the world. Ri kya burirap numpu chang tu chang tami nye yopar sungtu. The northern place to Chang Raminye is, so it's more in the concept of Tibetan astrology, where they talk about these 4 different continents. So the northern continent, known as the Changdeminye is situated in the north side of the Mount Meru. Okay. Chongzhongnam Changdu put the crane are flying towards the north. So you see yin here. This yin is not the yin that you normally see, which is yin, which is like saying that something exists. This yin is the progressive term, a progressive tense. It shows that something that happens, that happened, and will happen. It's a perfect tense. It's a particle of perfect tense. So the crane flew to the north last year. They flew to the north this year, and they will fly to the north next year. So it's a perfect tense. Okay, so nupcho, which means west. Kansa tangpo. Nima nisha ne nup tunjo ne mar nupkin yure. Nima nisha ne nup tunjo ne mar nupkin yure. Nima nisha ne nup tunjo ne mar nupkin yure. So first person, the sun shines from east and goes to west to set. So nup means west, nup means to set for the sun to set. Shar means east, and shar means to shine, to rise. So sunrise, shar, east, shar. Sunset, nup, west, nup. So nima ni shar ne nup tu tro ne mar nupkin yue. So we see that we still have the same perfect tense because the sun rose from the east yesterday or this morning. It will rise from the east tomorrow, and it will be it has been rising from the east. Similarly, it has set to the west. It will set to the west tomorrow, so it's a perfect tense. Nima nisha ne nup tu trone mar nupkin yure. Okay, so kansa nipa laso. Tangi yakpo sheson. Laso. Tangi yakpo sheson. Laso. Tangi yakpo sheson. Okay, I have understood it well. Laso. Tangi yakpo. So this is a tang. So let me just correct this. Or okay, so this is better. So tangi yakpo sheson. Okay, I understood it well. So now the west sentence. Ngari is a place in Tibet, so it says Ngari is in the west of Tibet. Tarin nupchone chalung wonggu Honda. So this is Honda. See, okay, so Honda. Honda means warning. So some of the new words here. Honda, which means warning. Chalung, which means storm. So the storm, the thunderstorm. So tarin nupchone chalung wonggu Honda tongsong. So the warnings of a storm coming from the west was given today, or was already sent today. I'm traveling here to the west, towards the west. I'm traveling here, from here towards the west. Okay, locho. Teshila, Kansanipa, Teshila, Yakar Natu, Densa sum Kancho su Yuretam. Teshila, Yakar Natu, Densa sum Kancho su Yuretam. Teshila, Yakar Natu, Densa sum Kancho su Yuretam. Second person, Teshila. Where is the three densa? So densa is actually the in the past, they used to be, so Densa is considered to be the most, the biggest and the most biggest, and the place, it used to be the center. So it used to be these were the different centers where people came from all around Tibet to study Buddhism. And Densa, which means the ground where everything is, so the ground of truth, or it's the place where the truth resides. So Densa were those big monasteries in Tibet, which were considered to be the best monasteries to study Buddhism. So in the past, probably more than 600 years ago, there used to be 6 of these, and now there are 3, out of which we have the similar 3 here in India. So these are the biggest monasteries, which has the most thorough study of the Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist religion, and anything that has to do with Buddhism. So Densa. So there are 3 Densa. So Tashila, where is the 3 Densa in India? Tashila, Kyakhan Nato, Densa sum Kangchos Yuretam. So Kangsa Tangbo La Densa sum Sete Kasumni Kyakar Hochos Yure La Densa sum Sete Kasumni Kyakar Hochos Yure La Densa sum Sete Kasumni Kyakar Hochos Yure. The 3 Densa, which is Sera, Drepung, and Kate, are in South India. The 3 Densa, which are Sera, Drepung, and Kate, are in South India. The 3 Densa, Sera, Drepung, and Kate, are in South India. La Densa sum Sente Kasumni Kyakar Hochos Yure. So the 3 Densa came into existence and probably had become became more renowned after the establishment of the Tibetan Gelug tradition by Lama Tsongkhapa in Tibet. Okay, Kangsa Nipa Laso Ta Densar Chöjel Rogyuyin Laso Ta Densar Chöjel Rogyuyin Laso Ta Densar Chöjel Rogyuyin. Okay, I will go to visit the 3 Densa now. So Laso Ta Densar Chöjel Rogyuyin Locho Tani Talo Dawang Ring Hocho Su Droyin. Okay, so this year I'm going to stay for 5 months in the South India. Ngeni Gyakar Locho Ne Hoyin. Both of us came from the South India. Kongso Ni Locho Ne Pepe Nejel Wate. These are the pilgrims who came from South India. So these are the people who came from South India to visit the pilgrimage. So the pilgrims who came from South India. Okay, now the preposition of place. The first one is teng, which means on. So if something is on something, it's called teng. Sometimes you may also hear the word gangla. Sometimes gangla, but gangla is more like above. Okay, teng, which means on. Ri teng tu khang tu. The snow is on the mountain. Ri teng tu khang tu. The snow is on the mountain. Chou zi teng tu lo le tu. The computer is on the table. Chou zi teng tu lo le tu. The computer is on the table. Okay, so therefore the word teng can be used to show that something is on something. Ok, which means under. There's two words, ok and sham. Sham means below, ok means under. So we have only discussed 6 of these prepositions here. We will continue discussing them until we're done with all these prepositions, including with some conversation scripts, as well as some of the vocabulary or themes related to the conversation. So for the case of the particles, we're going to study the preposition of place for probably this week. So ok, which means under. 心东给我懂 rest under the tree. Melti odo jang mango. Jang means object. There are so many things under the bed. Melti is, so we have nieti, melti, both means the bed. There are so many things under the bed. Okay, so gap, which means behind. Kowe gyapdu trashitu. Kowe means you. Kowe gyapdu trashitu. Kowe gyapdu trashitu. Tashi is behind you. So this is ko. It has an arrow here. So kowe gyapdu trashitu. Ko means you. Kowe gyapdu trashitu. Tashi is behind you. Nye nangki gyapdu yukchu chung chung shigyo. Nye nangki gyapdu yukchu chung chung shigyo. There is a small river behind my home. Dun, which means in front of a person. Lame dun to jilkar song. Lame dun to jilkar song. Lame dun to jilkar song. Went in front of Lama to receive audience. So we saw that we used the same word for the densa. We said densa jelkarto, and here there is Lama jelkarsong, but the meaning changes because when it comes to a person, it's more like to take an audience with someone. But when it comes to like a place to visit, it becomes visit. So jelka can mean both audience, to receive audience, or to visit, depending on if it's a place to visit or if it's a person to take audience from. Rite dunto togon nito. Togon means tonight. So togon means tonight. Rite dunto togon nito. Let's sleep in front of this mountain tonight. Ni means to sleep. Now, the final particle for today is dam ti, or come. So you might have heard of the word dam or ti. Come is probably new for some of you. And all of these means near. Popchu dam to draw. Let's go near the waterfall. Popchu means waterfall. Dam means near. Do means to go. Let's go near the waterfall. Nang te tila. There is a dense forest near that house. Nang te tila. Nang te tila shina tupushitu. There is a dense forest near the house. Gigenki come to sonne tiwati. I, which is an inferential object, it's a hidden object. So I went near the teacher and asked question. Gigenki come to sonne tiwati. I went near the teacher and asked question. So you see that these are some of the preposition of place, and we're also going to discuss the other preposition of place that will come after this. So we're going to finish all of the prepositions And once we're done with the prepositions, we're going to study some of the adjectives, which comes under the particles actually. So the conversation class, as we have, is divided in three. I think now we have three different portions. The first one is the script, where we try to learn the pronunciation and we try to improve the conversation skills by learning the lines. Then the vocabulary, which helps you enrich your vocabulary. And then finally, the particle. So these different types of particle which we use in our day-to-day life, which helps us giving a particular meaning in a sentence. So therefore, the particles that we learned today is think, walk, yep, do, come. And then the other particle, which also means in front, is so it's an honorific. We can say so it's an honorific, so definitely used for lamas or teachers. So so tung is an honorific for du. Okay, so this is the particle, and these are some of, so all of the particles are new words, and then there are many words here. If those words seems to be new to you, then make sure that you make sentence on them. And then these are also new words. That is direction. So okay, so now the other thing is the clarification on the honorifics and humilifics that that was asked in the group. So in Tibetan, we see that the honorifics are more commonly used when it comes to others, and humilifics are always for self. And therefore, it's a word that is more addressed to self. For example, we have the word, let me just write it. It's always better if I can write it. Let me see if I can write it. Yes, tangshu. So most is shu and not tang. So sorry, I wasn't able to see this because the screen sharing. Let me just do the same and take a new slide here. So I think taking a new slide would be, but let me do it like this. Take a slide with yes. So the first word for humilifics, I think I've already introduced it, is hu, which means I. So when we use this particular hu, what it does is that it is a way to use in order to show oneself of being modest and humble. So for example, if you're addressing like your guru, you'll always have to address yourself to be humble. So instead of saying nga or ta, we say ku. And this is also a very common usage while writing an application, because we're writing this application to a figure of authority. So we use ku, which means I. So ku is one of this. And then sometimes, I mean, this is also I think this is also a word, te. So te means I. It also means I. So it's similar to ku, and it's also used as a form of humilific. So te, which is like I. Then we have te. So it's always referred to self. right? So it's always used for self. So therefore, te, and then we have already discussed there are other ways to do that. For example, nyamtakpa, nyamta, sometimes nyamta or nyamta, which means pour. So nyamta or nyamta, nyamta, nyamtakpa or nyamtakpa. So nyamta means pour. So if we use this with I, like nyamtanga, for example, if we used it in a sentence like lama kyawa sejina nyamtangaru kyo purchase, it's a sentence. I don't know why this is not. Yeah. What is the Tibetan word for humility? Actually, there isn't. Sadly, we don't have names like we have Shesa Pilke, and then humilific somewhat comes into. It's a word that humbles you or makes you appear humble in order to give respect to someone else. So there isn't an actual word for humilific in Tibetan. So I'll see if there are new terms available. I'll check it. I'll check on the new terms. If there are any new terms that I'm not aware of. So when I say new terms, I mean words that might have been existing for now, like probably 5 to 10 years. If they were new words by then I'll see if that is a case. Otherwise, as far as my understanding is concerned, there is no word for humilific in Tibetan. So nyamta, which if we say, so the sentence was, it means it means so it's saying to the guru, the Buddha, and the Bodhisattvas, please protect. I pray that please protect the poor me. So nyamta is a way to show yourself to be modest, humble. So these are some of the humilifics. And there aren't very many because especially in the more conventional Tibetan language, it since there isn't a great usage of the honorifics, most probably there isn't a great usage of the humilifics. So therefore, this is the difference between honorifics. Honorifics are always addressed to others, humilifics always to self. In Tibetan, as far as it goes to Tibetan, this is the case. So this is a small clarification that I wanted to make. Okay, so now we're coming at the best part, which is memorization. So you have to give me the memorization. So please, after that, we'll have question answers. So you can ask questions after that. So those who have, so most of you, I think most of you haven't participated, but those, I think last time, was it Patricia who participated? So those who have not participated, choose a number between 1 to 15. So please choose a number between 1 to 15. Those who are able to give me, so please choose a number between 1 to 15. Those who are either at their job or are not able to. Okay, so next time. So Okay, so we'll just wait for 10 more seconds. And if there are no one in that duration of time, then the ones who have already given their names will be given the numbers. Next, after next, okay. Next Tuesday, okay, then we will hold you to that. Tashila, so next Tuesday, okay. So we'll see. There's some next days, so maybe if I'm feeling more like I want to make sure that the next time would be doing it, then maybe in the next class I might just ask you to read it, but let's see. But now we know that next Tuesday it will be Tashila. Okay, so this we will be generating numbers on random. So we all know the rules. The rules is that you have, if your number comes, you have to read. If a number that comes, and if your number is one greater than number, for example, if the number was like 8, and if your number is 9, then you'll have to read. So that's 10. So let's see, if we only have numbers less than 10, so I'll generate a number between 1 to 10. And then we will see 1, 2, 3. Number 3. Who is number 3? Do we have number 3? We don't have number 3. Do we have number 4? We don't have number 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Number 7. Who is number 7? Okay, so it's Svetala. So Lasso. Now please recite the text for the Lobchung Tai. So it's the Lobchung Tai. It's the second text. So Lasso.
Kawakara Kadora Kachi Kami Kakian Kale Kanel Dakatan Kamil Kawu Maka Yurve Kani Rakatan Huki Karak Saka in Lomso Kakwa Bakakwa Loyi Kagni Saka in Nyasok Chu Kanba Kanta Kanwak Shifan Rakan.
Okay, so Kala Shika Rakai. Okay, wonderful. That's all. Thank you very much for memorizing this. And so since today is Saturday, so on Monday you'll be receiving the next portion. So thank you very much for memorizing this. Now, before you ask me a question, let me ask everyone a question, and those who knows the answer, please answer it. What is the other word? Actually, first, what do you mean by karak? What is the meaning of the word karak? Sakataka rakasara karak. What is the meaning of the word karak?
Sugar.
Yes.
Is it sugar? Yeah.
It's with the chupa. Did you say chupa?
Sugar.
Sugar.
Yeah.
No, it's not the sugar. That's kara. So right now it's karak. So let me write it. Karak hasara karak. So
It's belt.
yes. And what's the other word for this? Like the same meaning, but a slight different version of this. Anyone?
Kurak?
Not ku, not ku. Very good try. I mean, you're yes. So why is it? What is the difference in this two? What is the difference between karak and kerak? So what is the difference between these two? Both of them means belt, but what is the difference? Does anyone want to try? Okay, then I will please. So K and Ka are both terms which are used in different part of Tibet. So in the more central Tibet, what we call the waist, it's the waist. It's called the kerak, kepa. Kepa is the waist, and therefore the cloth that is used to bind or to be tied near the waist is called kerak. In the more eastern dialect, it's called thoka. Thoka. It's called thoka. Thoka means the waist, and therefore karak. Because it's thoka, it's karak. Because it's kepa, it's kerak. So difference between the two different regions. That's it. Okay, now questions. Does anyone have questions regarding today's lesson? Please ask away. Any questions regarding today's lesson? Shu is the superlative term. 切穴, 养穴, 领穴 is the super. But remember, 穴 so I'm very sorry. 穴 is not it's a companion word. So 穴 is a companion word. It's not a word that can have a meaning by itself. So when it is joined with a certain type of adjective, the adjective itself becomes a superlative. So 躺穴, 养穴, 切穴, 冲穴. So does anyone else has question regarding today's lesson of the direction and the position?
Kendra, I have a question.
So
In Tibetan, which direction is first? Because we have order of direction. So do you have, is in Tibetan same or not?
So in Tibetan, there's no particular order with the direction. But you'll see a particular order written when you have to do those different type of meditation. But other than that, but that direction has to do with the meditation, and it has to do with the different families of Buddhas, which comes in order. But other than that, the direction itself doesn't have any order in Tibetan. So no order in direction. So
that's all today now.
So one more question. After that, I will give you. Actually, I will make an interesting assignment today for this class. So you'll enjoy it. I'll send it tomorrow, so you'll enjoy it. So any more questions? I have one more. I can have one more questions if you have questions. If not, then I will be. I'll send you the assignments tomorrow, and so since I will be sending assignments tomorrow, I'll also send the new portion that you will have to memorize. So I will not be doing this for this particular text, but for the people who are going to. So one of the person who have promised me that after next, okay, and the next one of you, I will be appointing you to read the Tree of Excellence speech during the grammar class when you join us. And then for the Tree of Excellence class, excellent speech, what you have to do is you have to not only memorize what you have done for the previous portion, you have to not only what has to be done during the given portion, you have to memorize also the previous portion. So it has to be like, so for those who have already given me the memorization test during the first few classes, they were only memorizing that portion. But now when I send the second portion, you have to memorize the second portion and then the third. So it gets longer and longer. But those who have given me the test in the first few classes doesn't mean that you don't have to give me the test for the entire text. Everyone will be giving me the test for the entire text. So it will be very enjoyable. So, and it will be very beneficial once you have this text by heart. Tibetan grammar with the explanation and this text together, if you have it in your heart, with that means that you have the entire grammar, like 50% of the grammar with you. And you know, you will have everything related to the connected particles with you for your entire life. That's so. So I think this is it for today. No more questions. So tomorrow I'll send the assignments. And if you have questions, please ask in the group. I very much enjoy those. And then the other thing that you did during this week was sharing your homework, and this is a wonderful thing. Everyone is learning so much from each other. So please continue that. That is something that I felt was very wonderful that happened this week. So please share your homework and we will have our opinion. Like, for example, we'll have our own suggestions, like, for example, what kind of word should be used there, or those who are able to give suggestions on the sentences may also do it. The thing is that when you send the homeworks in the group, and if you're able to check and give feedback, make sure that you give the feedback. This way you will improve yourself and you'll help the other student who is studying. And I will be giving feedback, of course. So 2 feedback or more than 2 feedback on one sentence, one homework. So make sure that once you're done with the homework, you can share it in the class and we can enjoy learning from each other. It was a wonderful thing. So, and then if you have questions, please ask in the group. I enjoy those questions very much. So this is it for today. And thank you very much for joining in for the conversation class. I will see you for the grammar class on Monday and conversation class on Tuesday. And then for those of you who are joining me also for the grammar class, if you have questions regarding the classification relation, make sure you ask me directly. And if you want me to give you other examples, make sure you ask me directly, because we're going to use these to analyze the grammatical text. And I know that for the first few times, it may be a little more sophisticated, but this is actually a very good way. You'll enjoy it as you continue doing that. And then let's see. One thing is the Petunia is sending those quiz. So please take time doing those quiz, learning those words and those things. And then we have Swetalanala, who is sending all the documents that that is being written in the chat. So make sure you pay attention to those also. So therefore, thank you to everyone, and I will see you on Monday.